Welcome to Animalia. Here's just a sample of what's coming up. Wimbledon looks to a more economical alternative to ball boys. A robotic shark designed to facilitate research into shark behaviour. And this episode's contenders for Cutesy of the Year prize, 4 new tiger cubs. Feeling no pain. The Spanish Riding School of Vienna is the only riding academy in the world where the Renaissance tradition of classical horsemanship is preserved and cultivated to this day. Recently, the public had the unique opportunity to see the world-famous Lipizzaner stallions in 7 open-air performances at the Schönbrunn Palace in Austria, where the riding school was being renovated. Only once before, in 1972, the Spanish Riding School gave a performance in front of the unique backdrop of the Schönbrunn Palace as part of festivities to celebrate the school's 400th birthday. Considered one of the world's most noble breeds, the Lipizzaner were bred and trained exclusively for combat, and they're formidable. Imagine 1,200 pounds of horse coming at you with hooves flying and nostrils flaring. The rider and the horse become one and, inspired by a single will, execute the most difficult movements with apparent ease and dexterity. The horse is a rare and unique breed. Its history and culture is known worldwide. The Walt Disney movie, The Miracle of the White Stallions, depicting General George S. Patton saving them at the end of World War II from certain extinction, created an even greater worldwide interest in the Lipizzaner breed. Had it not been for Patton, there would be no Lipizzans today. Starting at about age 4, they're trained over 8 years in the precise art of dressage. It's a horse and rider ballet in which the rider uses minuscule movements to control the horse through a complicated and elegant series of gaits and patterns on the ground. It's exactly this long period of training which gives the horse his long life expectancy and means he can serve long and well in the Spanish riding school. The upkeep of the tradition of classical dressage and riding training is the duty of the riders and senior riders. The training is done without textbooks and written orders and is passed down by word of mouth from generation to generation. The most difficult moves on the ground at this level are the piaffe, a trot in place, and the passage, a hesitated prance that moves the horse forward. But they go one better by performing in the air the capriole, in which the horse leaps, tucks its front hooves in, and kicks out with his hind legs. Most of these exercises can be seen during the performance at the Schönbrunn Palace. Oh, and in case you're wondering, there are no mirrors used in this performance. Now, some dogs like to chew, others enjoy digging. Whatever your dog's preference, you care for him and you want him to be well looked after when you're away. If the thought of leaving your best friend in kennels spoils your holiday, then you can send him to a luxury animal hotel in Germany, where you can be sure he's relaxing in just as much comfort as you are. The owners of the resort say it's the largest of its kind, and with almost 89 hectares of land, the animal kingdom is almost as big as Monaco. The hotel has some exclusive suites which have a private balcony. For the more social animal, there are also double rooms available. Good morning, neighbour. In addition to a menu a la carte tailored to the animal's individual preferences, there's also a beauty parlour and a psychotherapist to allow your furry friend to get rid of the everyday stress during his holiday too. But as in any hotel, luxury comes at a price. The price of a room in summer starts at €23. The prices range up to €51 depending on the size of the dog, the length of its hair and the time of year. It's cheaper to have a feathered friend. Parrots can stay the night for only €7 and cats for €15. Even when there are more than enough sticks to go around, it's always the one that you want that somebody else gets. At reception, your pet is booked in, introduced to the staff, who will basically be his servants for the duration, given a sample of the good food he'll be eating, and papers are checked to see that everything's in order. This one looks like something could be wrong with his papers. Maybe he lied about his age. But no, everything's okay, and it looks like he's been accepted to the fold. Although that gap under the glass could be a little drafty. Not that the Paws Hotel Resort is restricted to dogs. Cats, rabbits and other furry friends can also take a holiday there. In the games room, there's always someone to play a ball game with, and there's no need to pay attention to any rules because there aren't any. The reception, shop, cafe and swimming pool are open to all. Admittedly, cats tend to avoid playing in the swimming pool, but it is very popular with the dogs. Sticks, balls, dead birds, it really doesn't matter what it is, he'll fetch it for you. Of course, some dogs are grumpy and not compatible with other canines. These dogs can have the pool to themselves for individual swimming. And there are even fitted life jackets for those who don't feel so safe in the water. Personally, I think he's a little embarrassed about the life jacket, but just pretend you're not looking. After the swim, there's a servant to help you get dried and fluffy again, and then it's off to whatever pleasure you'd like to indulge yourself in. Usually, for my best friend after swimming and getting clean, it's rolling in something smelly. Ah, that feels better. Soon, maybe too soon, it's time to get collected again and taken home to the mundane life you knew before your great vacation at the Furchen Hotel. No, not that way, we're going home. These are sand tiger sharks, or as they're often known, grey nurses. Scary looking, aren't they? Well, the truth is, sharks eat a lot of different things, but people are definitely not on the menu. But more of that in a moment. It seems there's a new member in the shark family at Plymouth's National Marine Aquarium. The world's only robotic swimming shark has joined this group of 4 sand tiger sharks. The 2-metre-long creature called RoboShark 2 will spend up to 3 years alongside them. Modelled on the Pacific grey reef shark, the robot swims using a combination of sensors and thrusters. Aquarium staff will monitor the shark's reaction to their robotic companion and learn more about their behaviour and intelligence.
Let's see if he swims back. Yeah, here he comes.
Invented by Andrew Sneath, a British underwater designer, the 35-kilogram robot has an electronic brain which dictates its swimming patterns, speed, depth and direction. It can swim in all directions at a speed of 3 miles per hour, similar to the cruising speed of real sharks. Also, RoboShark can actually reverse, unlike a real shark when he gets stuck in a corner. RoboShark 2 can swim for 4 hours before its batteries need recharging. The robot can withstand huge water pressure up to a depth of 30 meters. If necessary, the pilot can override its controls from the surface. At present, the RoboShark has been given a random program whereby he can choose the depth he wants to go to and the direction. The sonar system is affected by the schools of fish and the sharks themselves, so that he will actually avoid crashing into items when he's traveling around. Shark attacks are rare, and your chances of being killed in a car wreck or plane crash are infinitely greater than your chances of being attacked by a shark. To really put it in perspective, more people die each year by choking on toothpicks than have been killed by sharks in the last decade in North America, despite media sensationalism of shark attacks. The shark attacks that do occur rarely result in death and are usually attributed to mistaken identity. Swimmers in wetsuits often look like seals, some sharks' natural prey. It's been shown that certain shapes and sizes of surfboard are more likely to be the subject of an attack. Chances are good that if you've been swimming in the ocean, you've been swimming with sharks and never even known it. The fact of the matter is, sharks are not man-eaters. They're magnificently successful animals, apex predators perfectly attuned to their environment and occupying an important niche in the Earth's oceans. This is the first time a fully autonomous shark is actually living in a natural environment. As for the 4 sand tiger sharks, well, they seem to have curiously accepted their new companion, checking him out and even swimming up to the edge of the aquarium when RoboShark is being lifted out to recharge his batteries. The first RoboShark, built for the BBC series Smart Sharks, contained a hidden camera which filmed live sharks in their natural habitats. After a series of unsuccessful attempts to reproduce pandas in captivity, zookeepers in Mexico City are pinning their hopes on a romantic rendezvous in Tokyo between one of their female bears and a Japanese stag. The Chapultepec Zoo, a 17-hectare enclave in the heart of Mexico City, is home to 3 female pandas, Xinjin, Xinhua and Xuan, who were born in Mexico during the 80s. From the 3 pandas, one will make the trip to Japan to mate with partner Ling Ling, who travelled to the Latin country 3 times already, but failed to impregnate the pandas. It's still not known which of the females will travel. It has to be taken into account that all of them differ in character, and that's precisely what staff at the zoo are evaluating so as to have a successful pregnancy. Beijing-born Ling Ling's sperm was used to artificially inseminate 2 female pandas during his 3rd visit to the zoo earlier in the year, after their efforts at reproduction the conventional way bore no fruit. But neither 15-year-old Xinjin nor 12-year-old Xuan ended up expecting the patter of tiny paws. So specialists from the program run by Mexican, Japanese and American scientists decided to change the strategy and the scenery. In fact, Ling Ling, now 17, is too old to bear another 20-hour trip and may soon be past his age to father cubs. In 1975, Mexico followed China as the first country able to reproduce pandas in captivity. The San Diego Zoo has an agreement with China which states that any cubs born from matings of lone pandas must be returned to China after their 3rd birthday. Plagued by poaching and habitat loss, there are only about 1,000 of the adored and endangered giant pandas left in the wild, in an area of mountain forest fragments in southwest China. This is the Frankfurt Zoo. Jambo, the youngest member of the giraffe herd here, is getting set to face the public for the first time. Saida, Jambo's 22-year-old mother, gave birth recently, and after about 10 days of rest with the herd inside the giraffe building, both will be able to meet visitors starting in a couple of days. The word Jambo means hello in Kiswahili. Hello. Like every young giraffe, Jambo lost about 5 kilograms in the first 3 days after his birth, but this was considered quite normal and not worrying in any way. But staff did notice that, as with Saida's previous babies, she had too little milk. That means that she has to be fed cow's milk by bottle. Jambo gets 1 litre of milk 5 times a day and is doing well. The giraffe is the tallest living mammal, growing to between 4.5 to 5.5 meters in height. Newborn babies weigh between 60 and 90 kilograms and are about 1.8 meters tall. They are born while the mother is standing and begin life by having to survive a 2-meter drop. Giraffes have small horns, or knobs, on top of their heads that grow to be about 5 inches long. These knobs are used to protect the head in fights. Male giraffes are larger than females. The giraffe populations are relatively stable, but they are hunted for their meat, coat and tails. The tail is prized for good luck bracelets, fly whisks and string for sewing beads. The coat is used for shield coverings. Habitat destruction and fragmentation are also threats to giraffe populations. Healthy giraffes live about 25 years in the wild, and they can be found in central, eastern and southern Africa, where they roam freely among the tall trees, arid land, dense forests and open plains. Still in Germany, and 10-day-old flamingo chicks have had their first photo opportunity at Cologne Zoo. The chicks preen for the cameras, where they will be raised in youth groups. Flamingos live in small groups, sometimes called colonies, where the little ones from various parents are raised together. They'll remain here until their sexes are determined, and then it will be decided whether to keep them or swap them with other zoos. Although flamingo breeding doesn't usually pose any particular problems, Cologne Zoo, which has been breeding flamingos for the past 30 years, encountered special difficulties. Crows and foxes, which also inhabit the zoo, either ate the little ones or stole the eggs. This year, they were luckier. Flamingo chicks are able to swim before they're typically old enough to permanently leave the nest. They begin to grow their flight feathers after 11 weeks, and at the same time, the bill begins to hook, allowing the chick to feed itself. And there is hope for the Cologne ugly ducklings. Chicks lose their juvenile grey or white colour, and feathers turn pink gradually over 1, 2, or even 3 years. And still on the subject of babies, we now go to Vietnam. Hanoi Zoo is home to more than 500 animals of 90 species and draws around 1.5 million visitors every year. This year's star attraction are 4 newborn tiger cubs whose mother is a rare Indo-Chinese tiger who was taken years ago from wildlife traffickers and brought to the zoo. The mother tiger, named Lam Ni, which means child of the forest, was already popular with Hanoi residents even before giving birth to her cubs. Forest protection officers took these pictures barely hours after this Indo-Chinese tiger was first found. When Limni was rescued, she was barely 17 months old and was little more than a cub. She'd been stuffed into the boot of a hired taxi to be sold for a lucrative sum by illegal wildlife traders. At first, the forest protection officers wanted to return the tiger to the wild, but she'd been in captivity for too long to be safely returned to her natural habitat. Experts warned she would be unable to survive in the wild and could turn into a man-eater. A few weeks later, the young tiger was enjoying a new life here at the Hanoi Zoo with 4 other Indo-Chinese tigers. The zoo staff were successful in finding a mate for Lam Ni. The tiger, who was also rescued from the Central Highlands of Vietnam in May 1997, was the one they thought would be the perfect match. Lam Ni first gave birth to one cub in 2002, but it died when it was only 9 days old. Zoo authorities were thrilled when Lam Ni gave birth a second time to 4 healthy cubs. According to one of the experienced staff at the zoo, the tigers are responsive to their names being called and are very friendly. Lam Ni and her 4 babies were exhibited at the zoo only 4 months after she'd given birth. The success of this pilot program at the Hanoi Zoo has fueled hopes that Indo-Chinese tigers could be bred and raised in captivity, not only for exhibition, but also for scientific study and conservation work. And while we've been in Hanoi, in Cologne Zoo, there's been yet another new addition. Yao, the baby snow leopard, has been enjoying the great outdoors with Mum always close by to keep an eye out for any mischief. The mother and baby duo were exploring the nooks and crannies of their outdoor enclosure, jumping from rock edges and stalking through the undergrowth. It's Yao's 1/4 birthday today, and he showed every sign of being in full health. Exactly 3 months ago, this small leopard was born. Like all cats when they're born, snow leopards are not only small, but they also still have their eyes shut. They're very underdeveloped. This lasts for a few weeks until they grow up a bit and open their eyes, and then the mother introduces them to life in the wild. Snow leopards can be found in many parts of Central Asia, including Afghanistan, India, Pakistan and China. But this large geographical coverage is misleading. The population is relatively small, and the creatures are labelled as an endangered species. Their thick, long, smoke grey coats are highly sought after as material for human beings' coats, and just one could pay the poacher more than a normal farmer would earn in a year. It's unanimous that the coat looks far better on the animal it was made for than some vain human who wants to show off. Snow leopards are designed to withstand life in rugged mountain ranges and harsh weather conditions. They're usually found at above 9,800 feet among snow and ice, so the heat in Cologne is probably a bit hard to bear. Until next time on Animalia, bye for now.